You can't stick to a routine because you don't have a plan for low energy days. If there is one thing PCOS taught me, it's that a plan for low energy days is the biggest difference between being able to stick to a routine or not. If your routine is built in a way that it only works on days where you feel great and you have all your energy, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure. Low energy is pretty much where I'm at right now, so trust me. I've personally never met a person whose energy levels stay consistent through a week, let alone a month. Like, you will always have good days and bad days. And for some of us, especially with PCOS or simply with menstrual cycles, whether they're more or less intense, even, like, you might be able to kind of predict when your energy is going to dip. And for a more or less consistent cycle, it can be the week before your period and then partly during your period. For someone with PCOS, though, that pre-period moment can really stretch. And even outside of your cycle, if you have insulin resistance, then the right meals, supplements, and overall, honestly, even just your stress levels can be the difference between a productive day and a day with absolutely nothing getting done at all. So, with all that, does it make sense to create a system for yourself that can only work when you're performing with high energy levels? Probably not. And does it make sense to feel bad about the very fact that it's just not physically possible for you to have high energy levels all the time? No, because you're not a machine and no amount of preparation and discipline will override your humanity, okay? Right? Now that that's established, how do you even begin to plan for low energy days? Personally, I find that the things I avoid and postpone when I have low energy are very consistent. It's pretty much everything that has to do with, like, my survival. Meaning, the minute my energy dips, I don't really want to cook anymore. I definitely don't want to clean. I don't want to work. And I certainly don't want to move for anything that isn't a hot shower or relocating from my bed to my couch and vice versa. It feels pretty impossible to do anything more than just shower, drink water, or juice and drift in and out of sleep, which is a pretty bad cycle because then it means I don't eat and I am even more tired and my energy lowers even further. It's a pretty bad cycle. It goes on and on and on. You can't win. Now, there's usually a slow descent to that point of complete burnout. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere, right? So days prior, I'll probably be pacing and starting to feel like I'm getting a little bit more overwhelmed. But then, because I'll probably be able to find a little solution and get myself going during the day, I'll be in denial. And that's what leads us to step one: predict and accept it. Unless you've been on autopilot for most of your life, which, don't get me wrong, can very much happen, you should have some semblance of, like, awareness or some ability to recognize patterns, especially if they have to do with something as jarring as wanting to do more things but not being able to do them. There should be signs that show you in that moment that even though your feelings are completely valid and all of that, you're starting to inch closer to not being your 100% self. It could be that you're finding it harder than usual to focus on multiple things. It could be that you're finding yourself to be simply more sensitive, more irritable, that your appetite changes, etc. It could also simply be that you return to or get stuck on some more unpleasant thoughts, that you even start feeling physically sick sometimes. Whatever the signs are, recognize that this is happening and that you may be heading towards slower days, and it's most likely not going to be convenient, it's not going to be fun or anything of the sort, but it is going to be okay. You've dealt with those days before, the world didn't end, and more often than not, you probably still found a way to get some stuff done. Now, to me, that's usually not enough to just tell myself that. I need to look back at the evidence. So what do? Every time life starts to suck a little bit too much, I write it down. I'm feeling this and that way today. I'm finding it hard to do XYZ. What does it really change, though? For one, I have a place to be as dramatic as I want to be. And two, that's how you start to be aware of what it is you don't feel like doing, also when you get into that state. And three, the following time that happens, you can look back and be like, yes, I felt this way before. And yet this and this and this still happened after, which you absolutely want to remember. Once you start getting out of that slump, you owe it to the journal version of yourself to go back and be like, well, okay, this really didn't It sucked in the moment, but it really didn't stop me from actually being able to get out of it and achieve XYZ afterwards, or just get back to normal afterwards. Step two is strip your routine down and find alternatives. This is where the low energy version of yourself is going to thank the past you. Because what you're going to do when you actually do have those days where nothing feels impossible and you think that actually not really much separates you from world domination, is you're going to write your routine down, and next to everything you do when life feels great and when you have all that energy, you're going to write down next to it an infinitely simpler version of that. My prime example is usually with skincare. On a great day, I'll use cleanser, maybe even double cleanse, use a toner, serum, moisturizer, and SPF in the morning. Then I'll do that all over again at night minus the SPF, and even throw on a mask. On a not so great day, I can be for real and accept that we're skipping toner and serum most likely, that we're going straight to moisturizer or sometimes straight to SPF. I'll keep a moisturizer on my bedside table so the access is easier. I'll keep an SPF in my purse so the access is even easier, right? But is it ever going to be my go-to routine that is supposed to address my concerns, like my skincare concerns? No, probably not. But it's better than nothing, and it still helps me build the habit of taking time out of my day to take care of my skin. And that's pretty good. Now, that's easy for habits that involve actual steps like this, but what about more energy consuming things like working out? When it comes to finding simpler alternatives for something like working out, you probably have to work through some tiered alternatives. You have a usual leg day that involves weightlifting and cardio. Then maybe step one or one tier down is lowering the weight load or choosing different exercises for the day. If it's still too much, then maybe it is a low impact or a walk kind of day. Still too much when you're in bed and you're not really trying to go anywhere for real, then maybe it is a day where you just have to convince yourself to at least get up and stretch for a little bit. Again, is it going to replace your workout? No, but it still means you have gone up and moved your body in a way that benefits it within the realm of your capacity that day, which is the point. Of course, finding alternatives when it comes to things that are like work or that have deadlines, that gets much harder. And in those cases, a couple things help. If it is work that actually does get you closer to your goals that you're not finding motivation to do, I would hope that you would have some goals already that you set for yourself, or things you can think of that you want. And for some, maybe you even have a vision board or something visual of some sort that you've saved for motivation. That's when those have to come in handy. If they're really well done, then it will get your hunger back up. You've cost yourself too many opportunities. Today cannot be the day where you delay your own access to what you want. That line of thinking. This is also where the right songs and the right playlist comes into play. This is your film montage moment. Like, you get in front of your mirror if you must. Honestly, do what you need to do. Another possibility is let someone else know that you have to do something and get them to check in with you or help you out of the slump. Like, even if it's just by them trying to hold you accountable, that by them trying to push you, or body doubling, if it comes down to it. Just get someone else to help push you a little bit. And all in all, just knowing what you have to do on a consistent basis is the key here. Like, that's how you find a simpler alternative. That's how you have potential option for those days that just aren't it. And for those really important tasks that you can't postpone and see that you know that they're approaching, this is where you really work on keeping those hunger levels just high enough to push you through, or where you have a go-to person or just community to lean on so you can actually get yourself where you need to be. Step 3 is learn how to come back from the slump. Learn how to come back from the slump. The alternatives, the journaling, the hunger, it's not foolproof. Sometimes your truth is it's just gonna suck, and it's going to take time for you to figure out what works and what doesn't. And sometimes you're just not gonna do anything, honestly, and you're gonna have to suffer the consequences of not doing said things, and you're gonna have to learn how to come back from it. Seriously, you will drop the ball. You will. That's just what happens. That's another opportunity to journal about it and all of that again. But the point is, sometimes you'll even miss out on something that could have been big for you just because you couldn't perform in order to get yourself up there. And it can be that you weren't ready, or that the opportunity wasn't actually right, not as right as you would think it was anyway, that it wasn't the right time, all of these things. Regardless, the world is not going to end when you need a break, even if that break is at the worst possible moment in your mind. It might seem counterintuitive, but in my opinion, that's actually when you need a rest day the most. To intentionally not try to spread yourself even thinner in that moment, because I don't think that the days where you're low energy and just because you're not doing much count as rest days, because you're probably spending a lot of brain power thinking about all of the things you're actually supposed to do. So, having a day that is intentionally just you not thinking about what you're supposed to do, not thinking about what you're not doing, all of those, going on a walk, sitting down on a patio, just binging series, whatever it is, something that is low, just low effort, but very, very intentionally meant to take your mind away from what you're not doing, and doing it with the intention of just recharging. That's what you need at that moment, in my opinion. And then, and only then, do you actually go ahead afterwards and get back to it. An additional step or additional thing here: adjust. If you're finding yourself constantly burning out or constantly dreading doing what you have to do, it might be good to consider a change. It's easier said than done, especially when it comes to jobs and things like this. But either you have to adjust how you do things, or you have to adjust the thing itself, honestly, because constantly living in burnout and dissatisfaction is really a waste of your life. Even when there are some couple of bright moments here and there, if that is you constantly stuck in a cycle of burnout, constantly stuck in a cycle of dreading the days where you have to do what you have to do, then consider this a sign to actually make the change you know you want to make. Go for plan A for once, not taking side roads, not going on side quests. Go for plan A and just be tired of being tired. I'm not saying that when working on what you want to actually do, you won't have low energy days. You will, but at least when you make a plan for those in that context, then it will still feel like progress, because you'll actually be going in a direction that you care about. Honestly, I personally find that that is something I'm having to do right now. I'm adjusting everything pretty much in my life to fit what I actually want to do from now on. It's not easy, and honestly, a lot of people aren't gonna get it when you take certain risks, or when you just go ahead and change trajectory, when you pivot, because maybe you've built a lot. Actually, maybe there is a lot that you would have to leave behind, a lot of stability, a lot of work that you've put in, all of those things. But that's not really wasted. That contributes to where you're going next. So again, if that is you, this is your sign to actually go ahead and just do the thing. And if you just needed a plan for low energy days, that's fine too. Do that for now and then figure it out. That's it.